Imagine killing a mammoth, not a small one. A full-grown woolly mammoth weighing somewhere around 6 tons brought down after hours of coordinated effort by your entire group. It's done. You've done the impossible. And now you're staring at more meat than your group could eat in a week. But here's the problem nobody talks about. You have no refrigerator, no freezer, no salt shakers, no plastic wrap. The temperature outside is warm, flies are already circling, and in less than 2 days, most of that meat is going to be completely inedible. 6 tons of hard-won food rotting in front of you. So, what do? This is a problem your ancestors faced constantly, not just with mammoths, with every kill, every harvest, every berry picked, and every fish caught. Survival wasn't just about finding food, it was about keeping food. And the solutions ancient humans developed were so effective, so precise, that several of them are still used today, essentially unchanged thousands of years later. The first and oldest method was the simplest: drying. Remove the water from food, and bacteria lose the environment they need to survive. No moisture means no rot. Ancient humans figured this out not through science, but through observation. Meat left in the sun behaved differently than meat left in the shade. Strips of flesh hung in dry, breezy air lasted longer than chunks left on the ground. Over thousands of years, this observation became technique. Evidence of deliberate food drying goes back at least 14,000 years, found at archaeological sites across the Middle East and North Africa. But the method itself is almost certainly far older. Fish bones have been found at ancient sites in arrangements suggesting they were hung or propped up to dry, not simply discarded after eating. Somebody was thinking ahead. Somebody was planning for tomorrow, and the day after that, and the week after that. But drying only works in dry climates. What did ancient humans do in the cold, or in humid jungles where nothing stays dry for long? They discovered something that seems almost accidental: salt. Salt draws moisture out of food through a process called osmosis. It creates an environment where bacteria struggle to survive, and ancient humans living near salt deposits, near coastlines, near salt lakes, eventually noticed that food rubbed with salt lasted dramatically longer than food that wasn't. The oldest direct evidence of deliberate salt preservation dates to around 6,000 years ago in ancient China and Romania, where salt mines were actively worked specifically for food preservation. But the knowledge of salt's preserving properties is almost certainly older than that, passed down through generations of observation long before anyone thought to document it. Salt became so valuable because of this property that entire economies were built around it. Roman soldiers were partially paid in salt. The English word salary comes from the Latin word salarium, meaning payment in salt. Wars were fought over salt deposits. Cities were built near them, all because ancient humans had discovered that this mineral could do what nothing else could: freeze time for food. And then there was smoke. Smoking food combines two preservation methods at once. The heat dries the surface of the food, while the chemical compounds in wood smoke, phenols, aldehydes, organic acids, actively kill bacteria and fungi on contact. Ancient humans discovered this somewhere around open fires, probably by accident at first. Meat hung too close to a fire, left there overnight, came back tasting different and lasting longer. That accident became knowledge. That knowledge became a technique refined across thousands of years into something approaching an art form. Archaeological evidence of deliberate smoking has been found across cultures on every inhabited continent, from ancient Scandinavia to sub-Saharan Africa to the indigenous communities of North America. Every culture that discovered fire eventually discovered smoking, independent of each other, because the logic was always the same: fire preserves. Use fire. But none of these methods, not drying, not salting, not smoking, could match the preservation power of something ancient humans in colder climates had available to them for free. Something that required no technique, no effort, and no ingredients at all: cold. In the far north, ancient humans had a natural freezer that never switched off. The permafrost, permanently frozen ground stretching across Siberia, northern Canada, and Alaska, kept food frozen indefinitely. Entire mammoth carcasses have been found in permafrost, preserved so completely that the meat inside was still technically edible after tens of thousands of years. Ancient humans who lived near permafrost understood this instinctively. They dug storage pits into the frozen ground and used them exactly the way we use freezers today. Food went in, cold kept it, and it came back out weeks or months later still usable. But what about everyone who didn't live near permafrost? What about ancient humans in temperate climates, where the ground thawed every spring? They built their own cold storage. Cellars dug deep into the earth, where temperature stays low and stable regardless of the season. Evidence of underground food storage pits has been found at ancient sites across Europe, Asia, and the Americas, dating back thousands of years. Some of these pits were lined with clay or stone to maintain temperature. Some showed evidence of being covered with insulating materials, grass, animal hides, leaves, to keep cold air in and warm air out. These weren't crude holes in the ground. They were engineered solutions to a complex problem, built by people who understood without any formal knowledge of thermodynamics that the earth itself could be used as a tool. And then there was fermentation, which is preservation through a completely different mechanism, not stopping bacterial growth but controlling it, encouraging specific beneficial bacteria and yeast to colonize food first, creating an acidic environment that prevents harmful bacteria from ever getting a foothold. Ancient humans discovered fermentation the same way they discovered most things, by accident and then by paying attention. Grapes left too long became wine. Milk left in a warm container curdled into something that lasted far longer than fresh milk. Cabbage packed in salt and left alone transformed into something sharp and sour that stayed edible for months. Every fermented food in the world today, cheese, yogurt, bread, beer, kimchi, sauerkraut, traces its origin back to an ancient human who noticed something unexpected happening to food that had been left alone, and instead of throwing it away, tasted it. The oldest evidence of intentional fermentation dates back around 13,000 years, found at Rakefet Cave in Israel. But the practice almost certainly predates that discovery by thousands of years, passed down through generations of experimentation and careful observation. What's remarkable about all of this isn't just the ingenuity involved, it's the thinking behind it. Preservation requires something that pure survival instinct doesn't. It requires imagination. You have to be able to picture tomorrow, next week, the coming winter. You have to be able to look at food in front of you and resist eating all of it now, because some part of your brain is already calculating what you'll need later. That kind of forward thinking, delayed gratification combined with technical problem solving, is one of the things that separates humans from almost every other species on the planet. Every time you open a refrigerator, pull out cheese, or reach for cured meat, you're standing at the end of an unbroken line that stretches back thousands of years. The technology changed, the electric compressors, the vacuum sealing, the chemical preservatives. But the problem is the same one an ancient human stood in front of after a successful hunt, staring at more food than they could eat and thinking, how do I make this last? They found the answer without laboratories, without science, without anything except observation, patience, and the simple refusal to let a good thing go to waste. And somehow they got it exactly right.